So friends, welcome to the lecture on load flow. It is an introductory lecture and it will be my basic attempt to let you know what the problem is, because only when we know the problem that we can find a solution. So let us try to understand what is a load flow by, I will just share the screen. So I am taking a very small system, which is just a 3-bus system. So this is one generator which is here supplying the power P1 plus JQ1. This is another generator in the system supplying power P2 plus JQ2. These are the two loads. EL2 plus JQL2 is one load and EL1 plus JQL1 is another load. It is just a 1, 2, 3, 4 bus system. So these are the voltages V1, V2, V3 and V4. Now, let me just for the sake of it take some values. So let the load on this bus, which is PL1 and PL2, let PL1 be 250 plus J50, that is 250 megawatt and 50 megawatt. That is the load on bus number 3. And the load on bus number 4, which is PL2 plus JQL2, let me take a figure where 500 megawatt plus J100 megawatt. That is the total power which will be consumed by this load. This we know that these are the loads that are connected. So that means the total load that I have to supply is 750 megawatt plus J150 megawatt. That is the total load. Now the generation capacity of generator G1, let me write G1 here. So this is generator G1 and this is generator G2. So the capacity of G1 is 300 megawatt and G2 is 600 megawatt. So from this generator we can get maximum of 300. From this generator we can get maximum of 600. So the first thing that is necessary is the total load should be less than the total generation. Correct? Because if the total load is more than the total generation, then that load cannot be supplied. Okay. So if we are generating only, let us say 100 megawatt and our load is 150 megawatt, so this requirement cannot be satisfied. So definitely there is a requirement that the total load must be less than total generation. So this is the first requirement. Now I pose a question to you that what if this, instead of 300 megawatt, the generation of G1 was just 150 megawatt. 150 megawatt. So would it have been okay? Now you can see that the total load here is how much? 750 megawatt and 150 megawatt. And I am saying that instead of 300, Instead of 300, I have got the generation here as 150 megawatt. So what is the total generation? 600 plus 150 megawatt, which is equal to 750 megawatt in total. So this is total 750 megawatt. Let me clear this. $750 megawatt. So would it be okay that whatever is the load, that much is the generation? So this 750 megawatt is the total demand, as we call it, and the total load, total generation is 750 megawatt. So is it okay? Some of you might think yes, it is okay. But let me tell you that you are forgetting one thing when you are saying that this 750 megawatt load and 750 megawatt generation would balance each other, and therefore it is perfectly fine. But friends, you are forgetting that there are transmission lines here, transmission lines here, transmission lines here, and the transmission line has also some resistance. Okay, and although that resistance is small, as you have seen in the first in the assignment that I have just given to you, which you have to submit uh, by today evening, uh, that resistance is quite small, but if you consider the total length, okay, that is not so small. Secondly, what is the current that is flowing into these lines? That may be in hundreds of amperes. So the loss in the transmission line, which is going to happen, is, let us say, I say that I1, I2, I3, these are the currents in these three lines. I1, I2, I3. These are the currents in these three lines. And R1, R2, R3, these are the resistances in these three lines. Then the total transmission loss that will occur is in the line L1, it is I1 square R1. In L2, which is I2 square R2, and in L3 it will be I3 square R3. Now please note that although this R1, R2, R3, they are small quantities, but I1, I2, I3, they are in hundreds of amperes. So let us say 200 amperes is the current here. So it would be 200 square. 2 into 10 to the power 2 whole thing square, which is 4 into 10 to the power 4, which is 4000 multiplied by whatever is the resistance. Okay, so even if it is, let us say, just I am taking one figure, it is not realistic, not necessary. It is just 1 ohm is the total resistance. Then the loss will be 4000 into 1, that much watts or 4 kilowatts. So you cannot ignore the transmission line losses. So the total load is 750. We have to also consider total losses. And this total load plus total losses, at least the sum of this must be the total generation. Which means that this 750 alone is the total load. So 750 megawatt here, total generating capacity, if you put, that will not serve the purpose. So it has to be 750 plus the losses. That should be the total generation. right? So this is okay. This is one thing. Second part of it is, now as I said, we don't have 150 megawatt, but as I said, we have what the generation capacity of this as 300 megawatt. We have seen. So prior to that, it was 300 megawatt. This I will remove now. So we require basically 750 megawatt. This is the load, and losses are generally not more than 10%, let us assume. So 75 megawatt, or for a rough figure I will take just 150 megawatt. So it is quite high quantity, but just for the sake of it, how much it will be, by the way? 750 by 150 is 20% losses, right? 20% losses is really high. So it will be 850 megawatt. That should be the minimum generation capacity. Now our capacity is 300 and 600. So the next question that is coming to our mind is how this 850 megawatt should be supplied by these two generators. This is the maximum capacity, 300 megawatt and 600. Out of which, how much should be the supplied by generator G1 and how much should be supplied by generator G2? So that is the real question. Now this question is not coming in the domain of load flow, but this is something else. This is called as optimizing. This is basically an optimizing problem, that we should allot how much generation to G1 and how much generation to G2. There can be various combinations, as you can see, that this 850 megawatt I can divide into various combinations. One is generator G1 generates 300 and generator G2 generates 850 minus 300, which is 550 megawatt. That is one combination. Another is another extreme, that generator G2 is now loaded to maximum, which is 600 megawatt, and 250 megawatt are produced by G2. Third possibility is somewhere between the two, that maybe 500 megawatt are generated by G2, which is well below its capacity, and 250 megawatt generated by G1, or I can even go a little bit higher, that 550 megawatt is generated by G2 and 200 megawatt, 300 megawatt is generated by G2. So there can be various such combinations. So which combinations I should choose? Now that comes the cost factor, because as I have said that in our power system goals, we had said one thing, that what are the goals of the power system? To supply uninterrupted power to the consumer at rated voltage, at rated frequency, at minimum cost with complete reliability. That is the total goal of power system. So one of the goals is it should be supplied at minimum of cost. Now when we are saying minimum of cost, you will say, where is the question that of cost? So Friends, the cost depends on various things. For example, uh, let us assume that the generator G2 is a thermal generator and generator G1 is a hydro generator. So will the cost for the two generators will be same or different? They are definitely going to be different. Why? Do you know what is the maximum efficiency of a thermal plant? Maximum efficiency of a thermal plant is 35%. And if it is 35%, imagine so many are the losses. And on the other hand, if you take the hydro plant, now hydro plant, it takes a lot of cost to build the hydro plant because a lot of uh, land has to be acquired. People have to be evacuated from that place to this place. We all know the famous Narmada Sarovar Andolan by Medha Patil. So there are problems in evacuation. And obviously the dam is to be constructed on the river, which also costs a lot. So there is a lot of costing that goes into construction of a hydro plant, but and of course the plant machinery, that is the generator which will be required. But once that is there, then it becomes almost free, in the sense if the water is available, okay, then we don't need any energy externally to generate power. That all water, the gates of the hydro plant must be opened, and if we want more generation, the gates should be opened more and more using the valves, and therefore more water will flow, more water kinetic energy will be used to rotate the hydro turbine and generate more power. So generation of power is least costly in hydro, whereas it is costly in thermal. So we will have to consider that cost factors also. So I am just trying to give you a idea of that the problem is not so simple as it looks. But this problem is in the domain of optimization, which we are not talking today. But I just wanted to make you aware that there is a need to distribute this load on plus losses, that is total 850 megawatt, to the two generators, and their strategies can be different because that will depend on the cost. So this is one thing, that let us say now we have decided that a optimum mix would be that I would be generating 500 megawatt on G2. So this will be 500 megawatt, and this will be okay. I cannot have this 500 because yeah, this can be 350. Then in that case it will exceed. So I cannot have this 500 megawatt. So let me have it as 550 and 300. Let us load this to maximum. So let us say I have distributed it this way. I have used hydro to the maximum extent. Now is the problem over? Problem is not over yet, friends. You will say, what is the problem now? We have calculated the total load. We have assumed that the loss will be around 150 megawatt, and we have distributed the total load in G1 and G2 in this fashion. So Why I am saying it is not the end? Because again I am reminding you of the goals of power system, which is to supply the required power to the consumer at rated voltage, which means that after we have decided that the generation between V1 and V2 will be divided in this proportion and these are the loads, I should ensure that the voltages V1, V2, V3, V4, these voltages, which will be different color. So these voltages, they should be within limits. So this voltage V1, this voltage V2, this voltage V3, this voltage V4, all the voltages must be within the limits. That is my aim. So I should have all voltages within the limit. What is the limit? Limit is generally the rated voltage plus minus 5%. You can deviate plus minus 5%. So I will have to ensure that after I decide that I will have 300 megawatt here and 550 megawatt here, and this is the load, then I must know what are the voltages. That is one thing. So all the voltages must be within the limits. So I will just take another page. So my first requirement is the consumer should get rated voltage, or in other words, the voltages at all the buses should be within limits, which is generally plus minus 5% of rated voltage. This I have to ensure. So how do I calculate the voltage? This problem will be answered by load flow analysis, or there is a program generally which is called as load flow program. There is actually one more limitation. One is I should have the rated voltage. This is one thing. But so that must be satisfied that my rated voltage should be within the limits. It should be within the limits. But there is one more requirement, and that requirement is in this transmission line, how the power will flow. So the another name actually for load flow is power flow. How the power will flow in the transmission lines, that is another thing which we want to study. So in general it is called as power flow because we want to know how the power flows from the generator to the load and what is the amount of power that is flowing in each of the lines. So the next thing that we should know is, third thing, what is the power flowing in each of the transmission line. What is the power flowing in each of the transmission line? Now, why that is important? Because there is a limit. So, there is a limit of power that each line can carry. So this limit should not be exceeded. Now limits are also, there are 2-3 types of limits. One is the thermal limit. So I will just and another is stability limit. I will just explain briefly what this limit is. We need not go into detail now. So basically, thermal limit means if you go beyond this limit, that if you try to pump in more power than the thermal limit, then there is chance that the conductors will become hot, because anyway, as I said, hundreds of amperes of current is going to flow in the transmission line. So that is going to make the conductor hot. What can be the temperature of the conductor? It can be very high. So as more and more current flows, the heat generated is I square R, and because of that heat, the conductor temperature grows, and if there is a limit to the upper temperature that the transmission line can handle, beyond which there will be problems in the line. So we need not go beyond that power such that the thermal limit of the transmission line is exceeded. Okay, so this is one. But generally it is not the thermal limit, it is the other limit that we may need to be more careful, which is the stability limit. And what is this limit, stability limit? So that I will explain. The stability limit is basically determined by what we have seen, that there is a limit on the magnitude of the voltages, because we have told to the consumer that only rated voltage plus minus 5% we will give it to you. So that we are bound with. But as we know that this is a phasor quantity, so there will be some angle of V1, some angle of V2, some angle of V3, some angle of V4. Okay. And because of this, there is a problem of what is called as transient stability. So right now, system is stable, but what can happen is after there occurs some fault, then if the angles between these two buses are very high, then there can be a problem. So we need to be careful about the angles also. So the third thing I will write is phase angles of buses should be within limit. Otherwise, there will be a stability limit exceeded. So phase angle differences. So we will stop at this point, as it is showing that you are almost at the end, and so the meeting is going to end in another 1 minute. So we will continue this in the next lecture. So I will stop recording.